Okay, today's date is the 6th January 2016. This is Zulfikar's night surgery, and I'm going to conduct your speaking test. Well, first of all, to be familiar with you, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Can you tell me your full official name?
My full official name is Ifreet as it appears on my passport.
What name do you want me to call you?
You can call me by Ifreet, that's what all my friends and family call me.
Okay, you're free. Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Chittagong, Bangladesh, and I live in the Agravan area, which is known as for its commercial.
Are you a student or are you doing a job?
I am currently a student. I go to Cantonment School and College, and I'm in the second year of my college.
Good. And what hours do you study?
Right now, since my higher secondary certificate examination is coming close, I study from like 9 a.m. to almost 11 p.m. some days. But I do make sure that I get enough time to get rid of the strain of work. So it's around like 7 hours or 8 hours of studying every day.
Well, what age do you think you would like to stop studying?
Until what age? That's something I have not ever set in mind. I believe that education is a learning process, a continuous process. So as long as I have the chance to educate myself, I would like to keep continuing.
Okay, let's talk about taking photographs. How often do you take photographs?
I love taking pictures, but it's not something for, I don't know, professionally. I like to do it for, like, it's a passion of mine. For example, I see some street dogs who are like adorable. I would love to capture it in my phone.
Why do people take photographs?
People take pictures and photographs to have a photographic memory. Like, I know that we can always think back of a time, but when you're explaining someone of how beautiful, for example, Rajshahi was, or a trip that you took to London was, they won't be exactly be able to visualize it. But instead, if you just show them a picture from your phone or from your camera, they will be able to visualize it even more.
Okay, do you like being in photographs?
Would it make me feel like a narcissist if I say yes? Yes, I love being in pictures. Whenever I take trips, I make sure that I fit myself in with my friends so that I can make sure that I was a part of that.
Okay, what's your favorite photograph?
What's my favorite photograph? I would say it's something taken by a photographer of Bangladesh. It's by Ata Muhammad Adnan. He loves taking black and white pictures, whether it is in weddings or any other occasions. There's this one picture of a bride of a in a black and white effect, and that picture has ever like struck to me because you don't usually get to see a bride in a black and white picture. You see them in red or vibrant white colors.
Well, thank you very much. Now I'm going to give you a card. On the card, you'll find a topic and you'll also find some guiding questions. Based on that, you have to prepare a talk for 1 minute, and you have 1 minute and 2 takers. Here's a piece of paper and a pen. You can take notes. Would you like to start now?
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about this. Well, we know how driven media is. Like, they would do anything to get the TRP up. I know that the main focus of media was to get the news out, but I have personally been a victim of how the stories change. Well, last year, we know how there was a continuous number of strikes. Like, it was, I think, for about 3 months that we had continuous strikes. And I was in Dhaka at that time. And what happened was we were in Dhanonde area, and my car was like just passing by this incident that was taking place. And what really happened was this one young guy, he just threw like those little bombs that you call, they just threw it inside a car and he ran away. And I think by minutes we were saved because otherwise I think we would be injured severely. But when it came out on the news TV, it was like everywhere that he was the jihadist or he was some extremist. And I felt like it wasn't anything like that. He was just a young guy who was, I don't know, rebelled by the thought of how bad the situation in Bangladesh is. It's obvious for us to be frustrated about strikes that's going on. But ever since that, it has just been so interesting to me how journalists just would do anything, even out of the league, to get the news out in a bad way.
Well, thank you very much. Let's move on to the final part, the two-way discussion. Let's talk about the marketing of the newspapers in our country. How do they market themselves in order to increase sales?
There are a lot of ways they market themselves. I understand that newspapers are very cheap in our country, but what they do is they put various sponsors. For example, you will see whenever you see a newspaper in the last page or the first few pages, you will see different types of organizations that they are putting advertisements out for. That way, they are marketing the newspaper themselves because you'll be like, oh well, Protamalo is advertising this brand Habib Groups, for example. And they would be like, okay, that means that the huge company is relying on the newspaper itself, and it makes the participants or the people who are reading the newspaper more dependent on the newspaper. They'd be like, okay, I believe that this newspaper is good enough, is reliable enough for us to get sources from.
Right. Do you think that some newspapers put a spin on the real story to increase sales?
Yes, as I said in my earlier story, they do put a spin. Like I think in most stories, to be honest, because they just want to feed the hungry viewers, the readers that are reading. When you open a newspaper early in the morning, you would be thrilled to read something exciting, and that's what most of the newspaper are targeting these days. They put in magazines and they put in various kind of news about celebrities and about their private life, which we don't really need to know. But in order to interest the young viewers and in general viewers in general, they would do so.
Right. Let's talk about TV programs in comparison to radio programs. What are the difference between TV programs and radio programs?
Well, since we all know that radio is a device that we use for hearing news or any other broadcasts, in the other form, TV is something that you can visually see. So, in urban areas, most of us have TV in our household, but when you're talking about rural areas, like in small countries or small cities and villages, for example, you would see that they're listening to the radio. They don't get the full advantage of watching news or any other programs on TV.
Okay, in terms of news, do they talk about the same news?
No, they talk about the news that is in current. For example, if today something, I don't know, a huge strike or a huge incident took place, then they would definitely make sure to publish that the next day.
Well, do you think people will read news on internet or on paper?
I think there are readers of both online and who like to read through newspaper. For example, my father, he likes to read news from the newspaper itself. But my sister, she's always on the run. She's going to her coachings and she's going to her university, so she doesn't get much time. At that time, she would just take out her phone and read it online.
Right. Can you tell me some of the merits and demerits of using the newspaper for news and using the screen?
Some of the merits and demerits. Well, when you watch something on the screen, you would be able to relate more to it. You can visually see what's happening. For example, a video, if it's going on, you would be like, oh, it's going on right now, it's on air. But when you're reading something on the newspaper, it's something that might have happened yesterday or a while back, because it takes a while to publish the news. So when you're seeing it on the TV, the best thing is you can watch it live. It's happening right now, it's happening like currently, so you can stay up to date. So that's a big merit. But demerit would be you would be so threatened that you wouldn't want to go out, or you would like stop your work. So it ends up hampering your personal life. In case of the newspaper though, you would be able to keep update to all the things that has been happening, but you won't be able to get news live.
Well, thank you very much. This test is over.